Imagine scrolling through the internet late at night when you stumble upon a story that sends chills down your spine. It's about someone known as Persistent Trip, whose strange disappearance and unsettling experiences became one of the creepiest, unexplained internet mysteries. Persistent Trip was a username on a popular forum where people shared bizarre, unexplained stories. This user first appeared around late 2007, posting about minor oddities, strange noises at night, fleeting shadows, and odd emails from unknown senders. The detailed nature of the posts made them feel real, quickly drawing attention from the community. By early 2008, Persistent Trip's stories had escalated, and their username became well known on the forum. They described being followed by strangers, finding unfamiliar objects in their home, and receiving cryptic phone calls and text messages. The forum users tried to help, offering advice and theories, but nothing seemed to ease Persistent Trip's growing paranoia. Their online journey transformed from sharing odd experiences to a gripping, unsettling mystery that captivated the entire forum. As Persistent Trip's posts gained traction, their story began spreading beyond the original forum. By mid-2008, their unsettling experiences were being shared across other online communities, drawing in curious users from different corners of the internet. People became invested in uncovering the truth behind Persistent Trip's claims, with some even attempting to trace their digital footprint for clues. Despite the growing attention, Persistent Trip remained anonymous, never revealing personal details. Their posts became more frequent and frantic, reflecting a deepening sense of fear and paranoia. This only fueled more speculation, turning their story into a viral mystery that captivated and disturbed countless internet users. Things took an even darker turn when Persistent Trip posted about finding a mysterious USB stick left at their front door. Despite warnings from other forum users, they decided to plug it into their computer. What they found was deeply unsettling: a single blurry video file. The footage showed a shadowy figure standing outside a window, and upon closer inspection, Persistent Trip realized it was their own window. Terrified, they described feeling like they were being watched constantly. They claimed to have gone to the police, but according to their next post, the authorities didn't take them seriously. This only heightened their sense of paranoia as they continued receiving strange messages and hearing noises outside their home late at night. Trip's posts became increasingly erratic and frantic. They described feeling watched at all times, hearing footsteps outside their home, and noticing that their front door would sometimes be unlocked in the morning, even though they were certain they had locked it the night before. Their fear grew to the point where they announced plans to leave town to escape whatever was happening. That was the last anyone ever heard from them on the forum. The account went silent, and all attempts to contact them failed. Months later, a video surfaced on YouTube, uploaded by a user named Amos No More, on August 14, 2012. The video was titled Persistent Trip and was just over 2 minutes long. In the footage, a young man, believed by many to be Persistent Trip, sat alone in a dimly lit room, looking disheveled and distressed.
It's March 5th. 2008. Don't seem to be coming down. It's been about 2 months. I can't really go out. Been spending a lot of time in the basement. I think I boiled the roots right. I did what it said in the book. I don't feel like I'm ever gonna come down. And not cool. It's getting weird. It's definitely getting weird.
What made the video even more unsettling was the claim that it was found footage. The uploader said they had discovered a digital camera with this video on a park bench in Philadelphia and decided to share it online to see if anyone could identify the man. This video added a chilling new layer to the mystery, leaving people wondering if Persistent Trip had fallen victim to something far more sinister than anyone had imagined. Of course, there was always the possibility that the entire situation was an elaborate hoax. The found footage story, where a digital camera was supposedly discovered on a park bench in Philadelphia, raised many red flags among internet sleuths. The idea that someone would casually find such a disturbing video and decide to upload it without further investigation seemed suspicious to many. Some believed that Amos No More, the user who uploaded the video in 2012, might have staged the entire scenario to create an eerie internet mystery. The timing of the upload, years after the supposed recording date, also seemed convenient, as it aligned with the rise of creepypasta and internet horror stories gaining popularity. The fact that another user, Dizzy Duck, re-uploaded the same video in December 2012 only fueled these suspicions. It was entirely plausible that both accounts were controlled by the same individual, attempting to build intrigue and garner attention for internet fame. The lack of verifiable details, combined with the dramatic narrative of a mysterious video being left on a park bench, made many question the authenticity of the entire story. The eerie atmosphere of the video, combined with the cryptic behavior of the uploader, seemed almost too perfectly designed to provoke fear and curiosity. Theories about the video and Persistent Trip's disappearance began to flood the internet. Some believed the young man had taken a powerful hallucinogenic drug like datura, a plant known for its intense, often terrifying hallucinations. Datura is classified as a deliriant, meaning it causes users to lose touch with reality, often resulting in bizarre, uncontrollable behavior. People under its influence may converse with people who aren't there, or fail to recognize familiar environments. However, many argued that datura didn't fit Persistent Trip's case. The drug's effects typically involve chaotic, disoriented, and violent behavior, but Persistent Trip appeared too composed in the video. His ability to sit down and articulate his thoughts clearly suggested he wasn't under the typical influence of datura. Furthermore, datura is usually consumed by brewing a tea from its seeds or leaves, while Persistent Trip mentioned boiling roots, which doesn't align with how datura is typically prepared. Others speculated that he might have used ayahuasca, a traditional Amazonian hallucinogenic brew made from boiling specific roots and vines. The brew contains DMT, dimethyltryptamine, one of the most powerful known psychedelics. When smoked, DMT produces a short, intense trip lasting about 15 minutes, but when consumed as ayahuasca, the experience can last several hours. Ayahuasca is often used in spiritual rituals to induce deep introspection, vivid visions, and a sense of connection to higher consciousness. While ayahuasca can cause intense hallucinations and significantly distort a person's sense of time, it's highly unlikely for anyone to remain in a hallucinogenic state for 2 months. Most psychedelic substances, including ayahuasca, are metabolized by the body within hours. This led many to believe that Persistent Trip might have been experiencing severe psychological effects, rather than a prolonged drug trip. Some suggested he might have had a negative reaction to the drug, leading to lasting mental health issues. One of the more widely accepted theories is that Persistent Trip developed hallucinogen persisting perception disorder, HPPD. HPPD is a condition where individuals continue to experience visual disturbances long after the drug has left their system. These disturbances can include visual snow, static-like vision, after images, seeing lingering outlines after objects move, trailing effects, where moving objects leave a trail behind them, and halos around lights. However, HPPD doesn't typically cause full-blown hallucinations or the sense of being in an ongoing trip, as Persistent Trip described. Sufferers of HPPD are usually aware that what they're experiencing isn't real, whereas persistent trip appeared genuinely trapped in an alternate reality, suggesting something more severe. Another possibility is that the substance he took triggered a latent mental illness, such as schizophrenia or psychosis. Schizophrenia is a chronic mental disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and perceives reality. Symptoms can include hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and extreme paranoia. If persistent trip had a genetic predisposition to schizophrenia or another psychotic disorder, the hallucinogen could have acted as a catalyst, triggering the onset of the illness. This would explain his ongoing hallucinations, the paranoia he described in his forum posts, and his belief that he was stuck in a perpetual trip. People with schizophrenia often struggle to distinguish between reality and their hallucinations, which could explain why persistent trip felt like he was trapped, even if the drug had long since worn off. It's also possible that persistent trip experienced a combination of these factors. He might have taken a hallucinogen that caused an acute reaction, which then led to long-lasting psychological damage. The isolation and fear he described in his posts could have worsened his mental state, creating a feedback loop where his anxiety and paranoia fed into his hallucinations, making his situation feel even more real and inescapable. Despite countless theories and investigations by dedicated online sleuths, no solid evidence ever surfaced to confirm what really happened to persistent trip. Forums and Reddit threads were flooded with discussions dissecting every frame of the video, analyzing the man's behavior, and speculating on possible explanations. Some users attempted to trace the digital footprint of the uploaders, but their efforts led to dead ends with no concrete leads emerging. Theories ranged from drug-induced psychosis and undiagnosed mental illness to more sinister possibilities, such as involvement in underground experiments or encounters with dangerous individuals. However, nothing could be conclusively proven. Some people claim to have seen similar usernames on other forums, hinting that persistent trip may have reappeared under different aliases or perhaps tried to distance themselves from the viral attention. However, these claims were never verified and no concrete connection was established. The absence of verifiable facts allowed the story to evolve and grow within online communities. The mystery remained unsolved, leaving a lasting imprint on internet culture and serving as a chilling reminder of how easily reality can blur with fiction in the digital world. It became a symbol of how narratives can spiral out of control when mixed with the anonymity and amplification power of the internet. To this day, the case of persistent trip continues to haunt the darker corners of the internet. The video has been re-uploaded and discussed on countless forums, YouTube channels, and podcasts, each adding their own theories and interpretations. Whether it was a genuine cry for help, a case of drug-induced psychosis, or just an elaborate hoax crafted for attention, no one can say for sure. The ambiguity surrounding the story is part of what makes it so compelling and enduring. It stands as one of the most chilling, unexplained internet mysteries, a cautionary tale about the strange and unsettling things that can unfold online. The case also highlights how easily internet culture can blur the lines between fact and fiction, turning personal tragedies, pranks, or fabricated stories into viral legends. It's a testament to the power of storytelling in the digital age, where even the most obscure videos can capture global attention and fuel endless speculation. Sometimes the scariest mysteries are the ones we never solve, leaving us to wonder what parts of these tales are true and which are the products of collective imagination and internet folklore. Could persistent trip's story be a reflection of how the digital world can consume and isolate individuals? Or was it a carefully crafted tale, designed to exploit our deepest fears? What do you think really happened to persistent trip? Is the internet hiding more than just this mystery? These are the unsettling questions that linger long after the story ends. In 2018, an internet mystery began when a Facebook account under the name of Orie Chef was discovered on a forum. The account immediately caught the attention of internet users, not because of who it belonged to or what it posted, but because of the strange and unsettling nature of its content. Orie Chef's posts seemed to come from someone who was not only disturbed, but also wanted to create confusion and intrigue among others. At first, no one paid much attention to the Facebook page, thinking it might be just another eccentric person sharing their odd thoughts. But as time went on, the situation grew more mysterious, and the online community soon became obsessed with figuring out who Orie Chef really was. The first clues came from the comments Orie made on random news articles. These were not typical comments, they seemed more like ramblings from someone who was disconnected from reality. In one of her earliest posts, she mentioned something strange about being cremated. This comment was just the beginning of a pattern. Over time, Orie Chef's posts became more cryptic and increasingly bizarre. She started talking about a woman named Susie, who seemed to be someone she knew personally. The details of Susie's life were strange, and they didn't make much sense to anyone reading them. The story about Susie and her sudden death left many people unsure about what to believe, as there was no real explanation behind her mysterious death. What really grabbed the attention of the online community was when Orie Chef began to share more personal and disturbing stories. In one particular tale, Orie spoke about a woman named Daphne. According to her story, Daphne was a close friend of Orie's father, someone who had gone through a complicated and tragic life. Daphne, according to Orie, had wanted to undergo surgery to change her appearance. However, after getting the surgery, she tragically died. This was the first time Orie had posted such a dark and strange story about a person in her life. But it wasn't the last. The more Orie posted about Daphne, the more unsettling the story became. Orie's followers soon began to notice that her posts were not just strange, but that they were being written in a way that seemed to encourage people to investigate further. She was presenting a personal tragedy in a way that felt almost like an invitation to look deeper, to try to find out more about the people she was talking about. As more details about Daphne's life emerged in Orie's posts, people became more intrigued. The use of such a tragic story, especially one that was so unusual and specific, seemed to be Orie's way of creating an internet mystery that others couldn't resist trying to solve. Over time, the story took on an even darker tone. It became clear that the narrative was leading people into a world of confusion, where fact and fiction seemed to blur together. The eerie posts, along with the cryptic and often nonsensical comments, created a sense of paranoia among those following the mystery. Orie Chef was not just sharing stories anymore, she was building a strange world that seemed to exist only within the confines of the internet. Some believed it was all part of an elaborate hoax designed to provoke a reaction, while others thought Orie Chef might actually be a person dealing with serious mental health issues. The mystery surrounding Daphne in particular grew. Orie Chef posted several photos of a woman she claimed was Daphne, further fueling speculation. Who was this woman, and why had Orie Chef chosen to share her photos and life story in such a bizarre manner? People online became obsessed with tracking down the woman in the images. Was Daphne a real person, or was she another part of Orie Chef's fictional creation? Was Orie Chef making up these stories, or was she sharing something deeply personal and troubling? As the investigation into Orie Chef's online presence continued, it became clear that the mysterious woman named Daphne was, in fact, a real person. Her name was eventually discovered to be Daphne, and she was identified as someone from Sydney, Australia. Daphne had experienced a terrible car accident that left her with permanent scarring, but her connection to Orie Chef remained a mystery. What troubled many people was that Orie Chef had used Daphne's photo without her permission, turning her real-life tragedy into part of an eerie, dark internet narrative. When Daphne's identity was revealed, it wasn't because she had come forward to share her story, it was because internet sleuths had tracked her down. These sleuths had pieced together information from Orie Chef's posts and photos, gradually uncovering details about Daphne's life. It was eventually confirmed that the photo Orie Chef had posted was indeed of a real person, and Daphne was not part of a fictional story. The use of her image, however, was a violation of her privacy, something that Orie Chef had done without her consent. Once Daphne's identity was uncovered, things took another bizarre turn. It was discovered that Daphne had no idea that her image had been used in this strange online mystery. She had been unaware that her likeness was being shared across the internet as part of a creepy story created by Orie Chef. Even more disturbing was the fact that Daphne had never met Orie Chef, and had no connection to her at all. She was, in fact, just a random person whose photo had been chosen for reasons that would never fully be explained. Daphne's image had been appropriated by Orie Chef in order to advance the mystery, a decision that many internet users found deeply unsettling. The involvement of a real person in Orie Chef's fabricated story made the case even more chilling. It wasn't just an online hoax or a creepy narrative, it was an invasion of someone's privacy and an attempt to create a fictional world around a real person's life. As the investigation into Orie Chef's activities continued, it became clear that she had been using the stories of real people, including Daphne, to generate mystery and confusion online. Orie Chef's online persona was not just an odd character, it was a deliberate attempt to manipulate reality and blur the lines between truth and fiction. Eventually, Orie Chef's posts began to stop. The last updates on her account were increasingly erratic, and eventually she disappeared from the internet entirely. Her Facebook account was deactivated, and there was no trace left of her online presence. The mystery of who she was and what she had been trying to achieve remained unanswered. Some people believed that Orie Chef had simply grown tired of the attention and had decided to walk away from the strange persona she had created. Others thought she might have been dealing with mental health issues that led her to create the online persona in the first place. Despite her disappearance, the mystery surrounding Orie Chef remained. It became one of those unsolved internet mysteries that continued to linger even after the person behind the mystery had gone. While some internet sleuths were able to piece together who Daphne was and uncover the story behind her involvement in Orie Chef's narrative, there were still many unanswered questions. Why did Orie Chef use real people's images? What was the point of all the creepy posts and disturbing stories? Was it a way to gain attention, or was there a deeper psychological motive behind it? The case of Orie Chef became a part of internet lore, a story that people would continue to talk about for years. The true identity of Orie Chef, along with her motivations and her connection to the people she wrote about, was never fully revealed. The mystery of Orie Chef may never be solved, and that is what has kept it alive in the minds of those who followed her strange, unsettling journey. It's a reminder of the strange power that the internet holds, and how easily a simple Facebook account can turn into a complex, dark, and confusing mystery. Though Orie Chef's disappearance marked the end of her online persona, the case of the woman who was once an internet enigma remains unresolved. It's a mystery that continues to fascinate those who want to know the truth behind the strange stories she wove and the real-life people she involved in her twisted narrative. In the end, the Orie Chef case serves as a chilling reminder of the strange, unpredictable, and often disturbing side of the internet. Shiloh Dynasty is an enigmatic figure in the world of internet culture, known primarily for their hauntingly beautiful and minimalistic music that has gained a cult following. Though Shiloh Dynasty's music has been sampled in songs by popular artists like XXXTentacion and Swell, the artists themselves remain shrouded in mystery, with little known about their identity or what happened to them after their brief burst of online activity. The mystery surrounding Shiloh Dynasty began in 2014 when their first Vine videos started to circulate on the internet. The videos were short, often only a few seconds long, and featured Shiloh singing or playing guitar. The music was raw, soulful, and stripped down, with a simple acoustic guitar and Shiloh's emotive voice creating an intimate, yet melancholic atmosphere. It wasn't long before the short snippets of music began to attract attention, especially from those looking for samples to use in their own music. The tracks uploaded by Shiloh Dynasty were brief, and often no longer than 30 seconds, but they left a lasting impression on listeners. Shiloh's voice, combined with the melancholic tunes, created an emotional connection with their audience, and their Vine account quickly gained a following. For a brief time, Shiloh was a relatively unknown artist, but that would change quickly, as their work was picked up by other musicians. In the years following, Shiloh Dynasty's music became more widely recognized, with a handful of tracks being sampled by artists like XXXTentacion, who used Shiloh's voice in the songs Jocelyn Flores, Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares, and I'm Sorry. These collaborations, particularly Jocelyn Flores, which became one of XXXTentacion's most well-known songs, helped solidify Shiloh's place in the music scene, even though their name was rarely mentioned in connection with the tracks. However, this also led to further intrigue about Shiloh's identity. Despite the recognition, the Shiloh Dynasty largely disappeared from the public eye after 2015, and it wasn't long before rumors started to swirl about their disappearance. Their Vine account was deleted, and there were no updates on their social media. Fans and internet sleuths began to speculate about what had happened to the artist. Some believed Shiloh had purposely chosen to step away from the spotlight, while others feared something had happened to them. The mystery surrounding Shiloh's identity only deepened with the passage of time. Shiloh Dynasty's real name was never fully confirmed, and despite their voice becoming familiar to millions of fans, there was no clear indication of who they were. Some even believed Shiloh could be a pseudonym for another artist, or perhaps they were simply a private person who didn't want fame or attention. The lack of information led to many rumors and theories circulating online, ranging from the idea that Shiloh was a reclusive genius who didn't want the trappings of celebrity, to the belief that they were no longer alive. In 2016, a YouTube video was posted claiming to have identified Shiloh Dynasty, but it was quickly debunked, and there was still no definitive proof about the artist's identity. In the following years, Shiloh's music continued to be sampled and shared, but no new music was released under the name Shiloh Dynasty. The artist's silence only fueled the mystery and intrigue surrounding them. Fans continued to wonder if Shiloh was still making music, or if they had disappeared entirely. Were they still creating new material in private, or had they decided to leave the music world altogether? Despite the intrigue surrounding their disappearance, Shiloh Dynasty's music continued to influence new generations of listeners, and their tracks remained iconic in the world of lo-fi and emotional music. The artist's legacy lived on through the samples used by other musicians, and their music continued to be a source of comfort for fans, who would often go back to the old tracks in search of more of the same raw emotional content. Shiloh's work had a unique quality. It felt deeply personal, as if the listener was privy to a private moment, and that resonated with a wide audience. In 2019, Shiloh Dynasty's account was briefly reactivated on Instagram, but it wasn't until 2020 that fans would get a glimpse into what might have happened to the artist. During this time, an account associated with Shiloh posted a series of cryptic messages, but nothing definitive was revealed. It became apparent that Shiloh Dynasty wasn't interested in fame or attention, and this only added to the enigma. The artists seemed to be content with their limited exposure, letting the music speak for itself while remaining largely anonymous. The mystery of Shiloh Dynasty, however, continued to remain unresolved. Although some speculated that Shiloh was living a quiet life away from the music industry, others held out hope that they would one day return to share more of their deeply personal and evocative music. But for now, Shiloh's disappearance from the music scene remains one of the great internet mysteries, with fans still searching for answers. In the end, Shiloh Dynasty remains an elusive figure, both in the music world and online. Their voice left a lasting impact, and the mystery surrounding their identity and sudden disappearance has kept fans intrigued for years. Whether Shiloh Dynasty is a pseudonym for someone else, or if they are just a private person who doesn't want to be in the public eye, remains unknown. One thing is certain though, Shiloh Dynasty's music will continue to resonate with listeners, even as the artist themselves remains a mystery. In 2021, a strange and perplexing post appeared on 4chan, capturing the attention of countless users online. The post was from someone claiming to be God, saying they could bend time and reality to their will. At first, many dismissed it as just another ridiculous claim from an internet troll. But something about the post struck a chord, and soon enough it sparked intense curiosity and debate. People were drawn in, eager to know more about this person who claimed to have such extraordinary abilities. The poster, known only by the username OP, didn't make things easy for those asking for proof. Instead of showing any evidence of their supposed powers, OP offered vague and cryptic responses that only deepened the mystery. When asked to demonstrate their godlike abilities, the replies were often indirect or filled with abstract statements about time, space, and reality. This refusal to provide solid proof made the whole situation even more intriguing, and it wasn't long before the post went viral. As the thread spread across other platforms like Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube, the mystery continued to grow. Some people believed that OP was a true supernatural being with powers beyond human comprehension. Others thought it was all a hoax, a ploy to gain attention and stir up controversy. Regardless, the enigmatic nature of the post kept many people fascinated, and it quickly became a topic of conversation all over the internet. The more OP avoided giving clear answers, the more people became obsessed with the mystery. They tried to dig deeper, asking questions, speculating about who OP really was, and even trying to uncover any details that might reveal the truth. But OP remained elusive. Every time someone tried to get closer to solving the puzzle, OP deflected or offered even more cryptic responses, making it nearly impossible to figure out who they were. People couldn't help but wonder, if OP truly had the ability to manipulate time and reality, why didn't they show some proof? Why hide behind anonymity and vague responses? Some started to think it was all an elaborate joke, a performance designed to capture people's attention. But others, driven by the sheer mystery of it all, still wondered if there might be some truth behind the claims. As the story gained traction, it attracted the attention of mainstream media, further fueling the curiosity surrounding the mysterious OP. News outlets started covering the story, and more people flocked to the thread, hoping to uncover the truth. But with so many people jumping in, copycat users began to emerge, posting similar claims in an attempt to capitalize on the viral sensation. These imitators failed to gain the same level of interest, but their attempts only added to the confusion and made it harder to separate fact from fiction. While all this was happening, another strange phenomenon began to unfold on YouTube. A video titled "I Am God" was uploaded, claiming that anyone who watched it would experience paranormal events and strange occurrences in their home. The video quickly gained a following, and people began sharing their eerie experiences after watching it. The video's cryptic nature made many wonder if it was somehow connected to the 4chan post. However, just like the original claim, there was no concrete evidence to support these spooky stories. It was unclear whether the video's effects were real or if it was just part of the growing internet myth. The two stories, the 4chan post and the "I Am God" video, seemed to intertwine, both tapping into the themes of divine power and the manipulation of reality. Together, they created an atmosphere of uncertainty, leaving many online users to question what was real and what wasn't. The idea of someone possessing godlike powers was outrageous, but the lack of proof left people wondering if there was something more to the story than met the eye. As time went on, the 4chan thread began to fade from the spotlight. The original poster disappeared from public view and the mystery seemed to be left unsolved. Despite this, the story didn't die. It lived on in the minds of those who had followed it closely. The thread had become a part of internet folklore, a strange and bizarre story that would continue to be discussed for years to come. The mystery of the God poster remained unresolved. People still debated whether it was all a hoax, an art project, or if there was some deeper truth behind it. Some believed the whole thing was a social experiment designed to test the limits of internet culture. Others thought that OP was simply playing a long game, creating an elaborate mystery for entertainment. Whatever the truth was, it seemed unlikely that the story would ever be fully explained. The mystery of the 4chan God poster serves as a reminder of how the internet can give rise to strange stories and myths. With no solid proof and no clear answers, the mystery continued to captivate the imagination of people across the world. The God post became a chapter in the ever-growing collection of internet mysteries, an enigma that may never be solved but will continue to intrigue people for years to come. As we wrap up this chilling journey through the creepiest unsolved internet mysteries, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The online world is a vast, eerie place where reality and fiction often blur. Each mystery we've explored leaves us with more questions than answers, leaving us to wonder whether we'll ever truly uncover the truth behind these unsettling tales. From mysterious disappearances and bizarre behaviors to cryptic messages that haunt the corners of the web, these cases remind us of the dark side of the internet, where anonymity allows the strangest stories to thrive. But perhaps that's the true horror, the unanswered questions, the unresolved stories, and the chilling sense that some mysteries may never be solved. So as we close the book on these unnerving cases, remember that the internet is full of hidden truths waiting to be uncovered. Who knows what strange and unsettling mystery will surface next? Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and always be aware of the darkness lurking just beneath the surface of the web. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to keep your eyes open. You never know when the next mystery will be staring you right in the face.